In the mountains of ancient Japan, there existed a secret path of mastery, followed by samurai, monks, and artists. A path that turned ordinary humans into legends. This path was not about talent, not about intelligence, not about privilege. It was about transformation. The Japanese called it Shuhari, the 3 stages of becoming unstoppable. But before we understand the path, we must understand the world that created it. 1. A world built on discipline. Japan, during the Sengoku era, was a land of endless war. Villages burned, lords fought for power. Samurai lived by a code that punished weakness with death. In this world, discipline wasn't a hobby. It was survival. Children were trained to control their mind before their sword. Monks meditated under frozen waterfalls to conquer pain. Artists painted thousands of strokes to control breath. Mastery was not a destination. It was a necessity. 2. The philosophy of Shuhari. Shuhari was not just a system, it was a journey. Shu, obey. Ha, break. Ri, transcend. 3 stages that describe how the mind learns, how the soul changes, how a human becomes something more. Modern people want results in days. Ancient Japan committed for decades. They believed, anything shallow is fragile, anything deep becomes unshakable. 3. Shu, the beginning of mastery. Shu means to protect tradition. At this stage, the student does not innovate. He does not question. He does not personalize. He copies. A swordsman swings the same strike thousands of times until his muscles remember. A calligrapher draws the same symbol every morning until his breath becomes rhythm. It feels boring, repetitive, endless. But repetition is not punishment. Repetition is programming. Modern neuroscience discovered centuries later, repetition creates myelin, the insulation that makes movement faster, cleaner, automatic. In ancient Japan, they already knew. Do it until you don't think about doing it. 4. The ego must die. Shu demands humility. The student must surrender his pride, his style, his desire to stand out. Because in the beginning, style is weakness. Before you bend the art, you must become the art. The Japanese believed, the immature mind wants freedom. The mature mind wants mastery. And so they followed the form, even when their heart resisted, even when they hated the monotony, because they knew the path begins with obedience. 5. The turning point, Ha. Years pass, muscles change, instinct awakens. This is Ha, the breaking of form, the beginning of originality. The swordsman sees openings others don't. The poet bends grammar with beauty. The craftsman experiments with shape and design. Ha is explosive, creative, unpredictable. But Ha is also dangerous. Freedom without discipline is chaos. A warrior who abandons form too early dies quickly. A student who experiments too soon fails publicly. Innovation is powerful, but only when rooted in mastery. 6. The battle within. Ha is a test of balance between tradition and rebellion, discipline and creativity, structure and improvisation. Ancient masters taught, do not abandon what made you strong, expand it. In this phase, the student asks questions, searches for answers, and becomes his own teacher. He stops seeking permission. He stops imitating others. He begins shaping his path. This is no longer training. This is evolution. 7. Ri, the final transformation. Few reach Ri. Ri means to transcend. It is the stage where the art becomes identity. The swordsman does not think, he moves. The artist does not plan, he flows. The monk does not seek enlightenment, he embodies it. The student does not follow rules, not because he ignores them, but because he has absorbed them. Rules dissolved into instinct. This stage cannot be taught. It can only be earned. 8. Why Shuhari creates fast learning. Here lies the paradox. People today want to learn fast. Japan learned deep and became faster. Shu builds foundations. Ha builds creativity. Ri builds intuition. When your mind is clear, your body is automatic. When your body is automatic, speed becomes effortless. Ancient samurai believed, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. True speed comes from mastery, not rushing. 9. How samurai trained their mind. Not all training was physical. Samurai practiced methods to eliminate fear, hesitation, self-doubt. They sat in Zen meditation for hours, days, weeks. They observed their thoughts, their impulses, their panic, until emotion lost control over action. Because in battle, the one who hesitates dies first. They learned the battlefield is not outside. The battlefield is inside. 10. The death of comfort. Every master pays a price. Mastery is lonely, uncomfortable, often painful. You must sacrifice comfort, time, relationships, ego. People will doubt you, mock you, dismiss you. Ancient warriors embraced suffering. They believed endurance is proof of desire. Not talent, not luck, not motivation. Endurance. 11. Shuhari in modern life. You don't need to be a samurai to use Shuhari. You can use it to master language, business, fitness, chess, music, YouTube, content creation. Start with Shu. Copy the masters. Then Ha, make it your own. Then Ri, become your own standard. Mastery is not invention. It is evolution. 12. The forgotten lesson. Ancient Japanese masters knew the path is long, and most people quit, not because they lack ability, but because they cannot tolerate transformation. Mastery is not a skill. It is an identity shift. You do not learn an art. You become a different person. They believed the one who endures the longest becomes unstoppable. In the secret temples of Japan, the masters warned every student, the most dangerous moment on the path is not the beginning, it is the middle. Because in the middle, progress slows, doubt grows, confidence fades. The early excitement disappears, but the reward is still far away. This is the desert between ability and mastery, and most people die there. In Japanese schools of martial arts, they called this the Great Silence. Not because the world is silent, but because your effort feels silent. You train but see no improvement. You practice but feel no change. You struggle but see no results. Most people quit here. But the samurai did something different. They waited. 1. The slow transformation. Samurai masters taught, growth is invisible before it becomes undeniable. One day, your hand moves faster than thought. One day, your body flows instead of fights. One day, your fear dissolves like smoke. The transformation is not sudden. It is gradual, quiet, invisible, until it becomes obvious. Modern science calls this neuroplasticity. The brain rewires itself through repetition. Ancient Japan had no scientific vocabulary, but they had wisdom. Practice changes the body. Discipline changes the spirit. 2. The pain of improvement. Improvement is painful, not because it hurts physically, but because it destroys who you used to be. Every new level requires a death. Your old habits, your old identity, your old excuses. And that death feels like failure. The student asks, Why am I not improving? Why is this still difficult? Why does mastery feel impossible? The master replies, when you stop struggling, you stop transforming. Growth feels like pressure, resistance, confusion. That is not a sign to quit. That is a sign you are close. 3. The ancient Japanese method of training. In many samurai schools, students trained without swords. They practiced footwork, breathing, timing before touching a weapon, because the sword magnified the mind. If the mind was chaotic, the blade was useless. Not the strength. The wielder is. A master could kill with a branch, a rock, or empty hands. A novice could lose with the finest steel. Nothing was more dangerous than a skilled mind. 4. Creativity born from constraint. The second stage of Shuhari was not about chaos. It was about freedom through structure. When the student mastered form, he could shape it. Masters taught counterintuitive lessons. Train slow to become fast. Limit tools to develop versatility. Restrict movement to refine awareness. Samurai schools used exercises designed to frustrate. Tie weights to the wrists. Blindfold the student. Limit the number of strikes. Forbid retreat. Fight in darkness. Train in silence. Modern psychology calls this constraint-based learning. Ancient Japan called it forging the mind through adversity. Because creativity is not random. Creativity is adaptation under pressure. 5. Mastery is embodied. In Japan, there is a concept called Shin-gi-tai, mind, technique, body. Mastery happens when all three unite. A swordsman with technique but no mind is nervous. A swordsman with mind but no technique is reckless. A swordsman with both but without physical conditioning is weak. But when all three align, movement becomes expression, action becomes instinct, the body becomes an extension of thought. This is the beginning of Ri, the third stage of Shuhari. 6. Ri beyond technique. Ri is the point where practice disappears. The swordsman does not perform techniques, he simply responds. Without hesitation, without naming movements, without thinking in words. His body moves before the mind interferes. Modern science calls this automaticity, flow state, procedural subconscious execution. Ancient Japan called it no mind, mushin. Not emptiness, not numbness, pure clarity, pure presence. The mind becomes still, not because there are no thoughts, but because thoughts no longer command. 7. The philosophy of no mind. Mushin is misunderstood. People imagine a monk floating in peace. But Mushin was forged in battle. It was born from fear, pain, chaos, survival. Samurai faced death daily. There was no time for reflection, no time for planning, no time for doubt. Victory depended on acting without hesitation. The enemy's sword did not wait for your thoughts. The battlefield taught this truth. Quote, overthinking is death. Mushin was not calmness, it was clarity under chaos. 9. Why Shuhari works in real life. Modern people chase hacks, shortcuts, instant mastery, fast results. Japan taught the opposite. Quote, fast progress comes from slow learning. Shu builds fundamentals. Ha builds adaptability. Ri builds intuition. Mastery is not fast because it skips steps. Mastery is fast because it makes execution effortless. When skill is embodied, you move faster than thought. Athletes call it instinct. Chess players call it intuition. Artists call it flow. Samurai called it life or death awareness. 10. The enemy is your mind. Samurai schools believed humans do not fail because the world is hard. They fail because their mind is weak. Fear, procrastination, self-doubt, impatience, comparison, ego. These are the real enemies. The sword is simple. The opponent is simple. The mind is complicated. Ancient masters taught, quote, "If you conquer yourself, no enemy can defeat you." 11. The silent teachers. Samurai learned mastery not from explanation, but from experience. Teachers rarely lectured. They created conditions for understanding. A master didn't say, "Balance your weight." He pushed the student until he fell. A master didn't say, "Stay calm in danger." He attacked without